Well, I hope your Saturday is going well. This is shout out to all my fastivores, carnivores, uh, frutivores, sleepivores if you're still asleep, whatever vor you are. Hopefully, you're enjoying the weekend, the time off. But I want to tell you something really quick about what my life used to be as far as a working man, punching a clock 9 to 5. I had safety, I had security, I had freedom to do a lot of things. I had money, I had very good benefits, and I was set. And then I realized I wasn't really happy with that. Like, I could have just waited about 6 years and retired out, okay, because we had early retirement. And the way that the universe works, it set me down a different path. Um, and so I ended up becoming a business owner. Now, the point of this story is that I figured out I would not have made the shift that I did had certain things not happened in my life. And those things up until then would have scared the hell out of me, would have scared the hell out of anybody I worked with, because we thought we had like pretty much the golden parachute of a blue collar job. And I'm going to tell you something. When you decide to put yourself out there, when you decide to take a leap, when you decide to figure out what's on the other side of that fence, sometimes you're going to realize that that was exactly what you needed. And it's scary as hell. And there's some failing that goes on. But there's a term I've picked up. It's called failing forward. And failing forward is the secret recipe to, I think, getting ahead in life, because everybody's so afraid to fail. I got a lot of clients that, their kids are very smart. They're very smart, right? They have higher degrees. They work at maybe tech. They want their kids to do really well, so they put them in all the great schools, and their kids are, 4.0 students, which is great. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But the one major element that's missing from a lot of these kids is the idea that they need to fail first and fail forward. What that means is you need to fail, make a mistake, get up, look at what happened, and go, oh, okay, that's how that works, and go on to the next task. Instead of just sitting back and going, okay, I got an A here, I got an A there, I'm perfect, I didn't fail that test, I didn't, it's you got to challenge yourself. You got to put yourself out there. And that's what I learned from my experience, and being able to pull away from a cushy, secure, safe union job that many people would die to have. And I don't miss it at all. Once I found out what's on the other side, and how you can improve yourself and go through life and not have to hide behind what you think is a great job. I mean, man, like the sky's the limit. But it's hard to get past that very first hurdle or fence that says, don't lose this job. It's the only thing you got. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No job is that great. No job is that great. In fact, many of the jobs I wish I had that I was never qualified for, and I sat back and saw people making huge amounts of money, are the people that I train now. And guess what? Some of them are the most high stress people in the world. Yeah, they got the fancy car, the nice job, but you know what? Their health is going south because they are dependent on that job, afraid to lose that job, jumping through every hoop that their boss says. Now, I'm not saying not to, do what your boss says, but you can get a new mindset. In fact, I read a story about a guy who was working his job, realized he wanted something else, which is kind of like what I did. But he did it a different way. He gave the work just enough to keep himself employed. Not 100%, but just enough to keep himself employed while he was building his business on the side. And he did it in a way that he was able to, still do his job. But his employers pulled him aside and said, hey, we were going to kind of let you go. At some point, we noticed your productivity was down, but it was, at the time he was already coming out with his business. And he said, I did that on purpose. He's like, I want to let you know that I do have another business and I'm moving on. But he kind of kept a good relationship. So that was not a bad way of doing it. I did a little different. Me and my ex-employer, we split up. We had different ideas about things. And it was time for me to go. And I always told myself when it's time for me to go, I'll know. I'll feel it in my gut. And it was scary as hell. But you know what? Man, did I grow. Man, did I grow from this. So, anyway, a long way around the idea and the point of just saying, hey, you got to make mistakes. You got to fail. You can't sit in your safe, secure spot going, all right, this is how I move forward. Yeah, you'll move forward slowly maybe, but man, if you fail forward, if you take those risks and put yourself out there and not worry about falling on your face, getting up, dusting yourself off, I believe your growth will be exponential. All right, guys, have a good one.